Hello, and welcome to In the Know at Churchville-Chili, the podcast intended to educate and empower caregivers by addressing important topics impacting their children and families. Each episode, we will discuss a different topic related to academics, social emotional wellness, mental health supports, or behavior, and provide useful resources to caregivers. This podcast is brought to you by the Churchville-Chili Flash Network. Hello and welcome to In the Know at Churchville-Chili. My name is Tracy Swalbach and I am the coordinator of social emotional wellness and inclusivity and will be one of a handful of hosts for this podcast as we go along. Today we are discussing child and teen safety with Stephanie Schwebka and Carla Rivera from the Child Advocacy Center of Greater Rochester. Stephanie is the Vice President of Prevention Services. She joined the Child Advocacy Center of Greater Rochester, formerly Bavona Child Advocacy Center, in 2012 to spearhead prevention services growth in Monroe County to better educate and empower children and relevant adults to prevent, recognize, and respond to abuse. Stephanie also serves as a subject matter consultant and certified instructor with the Monique Burr Foundation for Children, consulting with other CACs and other professionals across New York State regarding best practices in Aaron's Law prevention education programming. Nationally, she sits on the advisory board of directors for Connect to Protect Kids, whose mission is to educate, prevent, and eradicate child abuse. Carla is a community educator for special populations. She hopes to see a community where all children are safe and free from abuse and have a passion for teaching students in schools about safety and abuse prevention. She has taught lessons in the Churchville-Chili School District over the past 3 years and is a pivotal part of a grant project with the Golisano Foundation to adopt the Monique Burr Foundation Child Safety Curriculum for students with special and language needs. Prior to coming to the Child Advocacy Center, she was a bilingual in English as a new language teacher in the Rochester City School District. She uses her background in education to facilitate trainings that empower more adults and stakeholders in the community to proactively protect children. So I want to welcome both of you today. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Happy to be here for sure.
Yeah, this is great. So Churchville-Chili has been working with the Child Advocacy Center of Greater Rochester, formerly Bavona, for 3 years now. You provide our education for both child and teen safety using the Monique Burr Foundation curriculum in our schools. And this partnership was formed in response to Aaron's Law. And so I'm going to discuss that in just a second. So education in child and teen safety is provided to all of our students in UPK-12 throughout the year. And so I'm wondering if we can start by talking a little about Aaron's Law and your work with the school district in child education safety.
Absolutely. So the Aaron's Law mandate was passed back in 2019, and it was passed in an effort to make sure that we were getting really important prevention, body safety, healthy relationship safety to students. And knowing that this was passing and knowing the work that, the Child Advocacy Center, formerly Bavona, that we've done for 20 years in this community, we knew that this kind of thing can't be taken lightly. When you're talking about safe versus unsafe touches, when you're talking about, how do I identify if someone is behaving in a safe way or in a healthy way within any type of relationship, whether that's in your family, whether that is where you have extracurriculars, whether that is, with your peers, or some of our older kids that are starting some of those more intimate relationships. Those are hard roads to navigate and can be sometimes really hard conversations to have. And so knowing that this mandate was kind of coming down the pike, we set out to find the most informed, the most evidence-based a curriculum that we could then partner with all school districts to say, hey, we know this mandate's coming down, and we want to be able to partner with schools to make sure that all of our students, all of our kids in this entire community have those skills, have that empowerment, and have that language to keep themselves safe.
That's awesome. And that was great because you speak a little bit about that you did a lot of work on the forefront to make sure that you found a program that was great. And so that is the program that we're using, is that Monique Burr Foundation curriculum. So could you give our listeners information regarding that content? What are kids learning?
Awesome. That one's for me. So the curriculum really centers on 5 safety rules, and we'll get to those 5 safety rules in just a little bit. But I think the important piece about it is that it's developmentally appropriate. So the instruction is scaffolded in grade level bands, if you will, and it increases in complexity and in depth of the content and the topics that are covered as the students grow older. So this year is actually our first year doing pre-K, and we're very excited about beginning with pre-K this year. But in the pre-K up through grade level 2, we really want to identify foundational skills with the students. We want to give them common language and understanding of what is safe and unsafe in their lives, in their real life and in their online life. In their interactions with their peers, in their interactions with adults of authority. It's important for students to know that they have the right to define what feels safe for them based on their boundaries. And we want to teach them so that they understand their own body boundaries and that there is a level of privacy and respect that they are owed for their body, as well as giving that respect and privacy to others. And then the last piece is encouraging self-advocacy. Students are told to trust and listen to the adults in the building, the adults that care for them, the adults that provide for their basic needs. So it's very difficult then if a student identifies an adult who is saying or doing unsafe things to be able to say that to someone else. So we emphasize with students the power of their relationship with the adults in their lives, and that they get to choose which are the adults that make them feel safe, so that they can talk to that adult if there is ever an adult or a peer who doesn't make them feel safe. And in pre-K through 2, we really want them to see their voice as their superpower. I can use my voice to advocate for myself and for others. In 3rd through 5th grade, the students are a bit older, a bit more responsible. So we build on the previous learning by identifying and clarifying a bit more about what are the types of abuse and what does that look, feel, and sound like. We encourage them to set their own personal boundaries with their peers and with adults, and to find a way to express those boundaries and communicate them with others. And we encourage the power of seeking help and when unsafe things happen. We may witness, we may experience violence or unsafe things of all kinds, and keeping those things silent and quiet keeps us in that same struggle. And we want students who already have that level of responsibility and independence to say, no, I didn't feel safe when that happened, and it's okay that I didn't feel safe. Let me go talk to this adult I have a great relationship with because they are safe, and let me tell them what happened. As we get into the middle and the high school grades, we really begin to emphasize the healthy versus unhealthy relationships. We take all of the foundational skills that they learned in the primary grades, once they get there, and the intermediate and middle school grades, and we really have them negotiate their own relationships from a place of safety, recognizing this is healthy and safe in a friendship, in a romantic partnership, in my workplace. Those are all new spaces for students at this developmental level. So we want to make sure that they are recognizing those patterns and defining the potential risks for them when they are online and in real life with new people, when they are online gaming and interacting with others who are friends, quote unquote, when really they have never met in person. So we emphasize that we can't have relationships with people who we don't actually know in person, because they might not be who they say they are, and that can damage the relationship. We always want to come back to students being empowered to make those decisions for themselves instead of feeling fear or afraid of talking to anyone or what anyone could do to them at any given moment. And then we want to teach them practical refusal skills. If someone asks you to do something that you don't want to do, what is a way that feels authentic to you to be able to respond? Do you want to have a sarcastic, witty response like, you first, bro? Or do you want to, kind of rely on your friends and be like, yo, are you going to stand for this? Let's get out of here. Or are you going to find another way that is organic for you to try and remove yourself from that situation and refuse the discomfort or the unsafety in some way? And in this year in the high school, not only are we adding pre-K for the first time, but we're also refreshing our approach with the high school levels. We have a new educator with some exciting new things that are going to be in front of students, and we're hoping it will be more engaging and meaningful for the students who have already had these lessons in previous years.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It really sounds like a lot of the focus is really that empowerment piece, even from the younger levels, but teaching them how and developmentally appropriate, I think, is the biggest thing. I think when parents hear about new curriculums or new laws that are coming out, the question is, well, what is this going to look like for my kid?
Right.
And so really this curriculum is built upon their developmental levels. And
Absolutely.
so it makes sense for where they are in life. So to recap what we have here at Churchville, just for our listeners to know that parents are asking questions, our students in grades UPK first year, we're super excited as well, through fourth grade, and our 9-12 students receive direct instruction from your instructors. So we're really excited about that partnership, and it's really nice for someone outside of their normal school day to be coming in and talking to them. It gives them another adult that they can start building those relationships with. In our 5 through 8, they're taught by their health classes, and it's in the health curriculum with our teachers, and our teachers have gone through that train the trainer, so they are trained in Monique Burr, which is amazing. So it's nice that we've been able to kind of have a hybrid model here at Churchville. And again, I think that no matter who the instructor is, they've been trained to build those relationships with the students, which has been great. But you talked about having common language, and I know you had brought up the 5 safety rules earlier, and so using this curriculum, UPK 12, we felt was very important because it is the same message. We're not using different curriculums at different levels because it is that same language. So can you tell us a little bit about the foundation of that curriculum that kind of goes through all of those now 14 years that kids will be here at Churchville-Chili? What are they going to hear consistently across those years?
Absolutely. The centerpiece of this curriculum is really the idea that there are 5 safety rules that really aren't a list of do's and don'ts. Our goal in empowering students and giving them a common language is that these safety rules act as our perspective, our mindset when it comes to safety, when it comes to boundaries, and when it comes to personal relationships. And so the safety rules really help students to identify what does and doesn't feel safe for them, and then find ways to take action on that. And each safety rule has a movement that goes along with it that we use with the students in the elementary schools. There's no video on this podcast, lucky me, so I don't have to worry about doing them right now.
But they can ask their children after
Yes,
their
they
lesson.
can.
The students should go home knowing those because Ms. Carla taught them very well these past few years. Thank you, and you're welcome.
And we thank you.
So the 5 safety rules start with safety rule number 1, which teaches students to know what's up. We want them to have some basic information about themselves that can help in an emergency situation. If there is a fire, if there is a safety concern and someone needs medical attention right away. Kids are often taught, well, call 911. But we're not often taught, well, what is 911 going to ask of me? And do I have the information to answer? So when 911 answers the phone, they're going to ask, what is your name? What is the state of the emergency? And where are you? Yeah. So we want students to know and be able to verbalize their name and their location to the degree of developmental appropriateness where they are. Maybe they say, my house is next to this church building, and it is a very established part of the community that may help emergency responders to anchor themselves. We don't really want them to just say, it's the yellow house in the middle of the street. There's too many streets and too many yellow houses in Churchville-Chili. So we want them to know their address. We want them to know the grown-ups who are responsible for taking care of them, my mom, my dad, and what is the name that other people call them. And do you have a way to communicate with that person? Do you know your mom or dad's phone number? Do you have a next door neighbor who stays with you after school, who knows your parents' phone number, who you could go to and ask for help? We want them to have some sort of safety plan that is common understanding within their family unit. And then we also want them to have a level of awareness of their surroundings and the interactions that they are in. We want social awareness is kind of how the curriculum refers to it. So paying attention to the patterns that we see in people. Does this person always say mean things to you or about others? Do you feel nervous to be with this person? Has this person said or done something that has hurt you in the past? When students know what's up, they begin to have an awareness of that. And then that is really the basis of them being able to make judgments about safety, which leads us to safety rule number 2. And safety rule number 2 teaches them to spot red flags. And in the high school, we refer to those red flags as grooming behaviors, things that traffickers or online predators or predators in real life use as tactics to hoodwink or trick kids who don't know safety from this perspective. And when students are not aware of those tactics, and they don't understand their ability to judge and decide the safety versus the unsafety of it, then it causes a lot of confusion and blame and shame within them that they should have known better, they should have done something differently, they were taught these safety rules, or whatever the case may be. We don't want to come from a place of making them feel like they are wrong because this thing happened. So we want to teach them what to look for.
Yeah.
And we teach them some basic understandings of what are your body boundaries, and does this person respect those things? Do they ask before they give you a hug or physical contact of any kind? Do they try and talk or bring up inappropriate things for the nature of your relationship? Those are things that may feel confusing to kids when they say, well, this person is my coach, but why are they talking to me about this thing that has nothing to do with the sport that I'm playing? So we want students to have close relationships with adults, but also understand that if they feel something is inappropriate or beyond the scope of this relationship, that may be a red flag, and we want them to trust that instinct, that icky feeling, that uncertainty. That is the discomfort that we associate with red flags. And people get to really define those for themselves, even though there are some common patterns of hurtful words, hurtful actions, and asking people to keep secrets or trying to minimize and not express the unsafe things that are happening.
It's like you're putting words to that feeling in your gut. That gut feeling, but you're putting words into it. That's what a red flag is. And so making those connections, because kids have to connect the body feelings to those words.
Correct. And there are different things that are going to cause that feeling. In real life, that may be something that someone says to you repeatedly. Whereas online, it may be a video or an ad that you saw, or going to the wrong website and not knowing what to do with that because you're in first grade and you're learning how to read. So we want students to see that those red flags can be anywhere, but when you get that feeling, trust it and then take action. Safety rule number 3, that's our call to action, and we tell students to make a move. And so we do a running motion, like as if the students are running away from the danger, but that's not the only thing that we want them to see as a resource for safety. Because I tell the elementary school students, when you're on the bus with a bully, you can't just run off of the bus to escape. We have to have other options. And so making a move could be removing yourself from the situation if you can. It could be avoiding this person that you know bullies you or antagonizes you when you're in the lunchroom. It could also be moving toward a position of safety by getting closer to one of those safe adults that you have a relationship with, so that you can let them know this unsafe thing that happened and you can seek their support and their help. So making a move means getting away from what's unsafe if you can, and getting to someone or someplace that is safe if you can. And that partners with safety rule number 4, which teaches students to talk it up. And I'm obnoxious with it in classrooms, and I yell and make the students yell. The teachers hate it, and I apologize. But the kids get a kick out of it. Because the goal is for them to see using their voice as a good thing. So many of the societal messages around us teach kids to stay quiet, be seen and not heard. Or it teaches them to protect their family by keeping quiet about the unsafe or the ugly things. We don't want people to see our dirty laundry or to know that we were arguing about this thing. But that also becomes a way where unsafe people can abuse children. And those children now societally are conditioned that secrecy is their answer. So I have to combat that in a very obvious way by teaching them, not only is it okay for you to use your voice, it is your superpower to do so. This is the one thing that every unsafe person wants to teach kids. There are so many things that are different in every case that is unsafe or abusive for a child, but the one common denominator is the element of secrecy. They don't want the kids to tell. So we have to teach kids that that message is not true. And their voice is their power. Their voice is their way of letting adults know they need help and letting those adults know how to help. So we have to use our voice with words, and we have to say how we feel and what happened, what we need. When we are hungry, we have to say that we are hungry or ask for food. So we teach them the same thing about safety. When I am unsafe, I need an adult to help me to be safe. safety is a shared responsibility. And the student's role is using their voice. The adult's role is believing them when we hear it and then acting on their behalf. So safety rule number 5 kind of closes it out for all of us with that, because it teaches students and adults that there's no blame and no shame in advocating for safety, in identifying a red flag and telling someone that you saw that. So no, it's not your fault that this unsafe thing happened. The person who said or did this thing was wrong. And it is always okay and never too late for you to use your voice to tell that adult that makes you feel safe, to tell that adult that you trust because you have this relationship and they haven't hurt you, that you need their help with this person who did.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing. And I've actually seen it in action. So I've seen the movements, and we actually got to see them right here. Like you said, there's no video, but your kids will be able to show you. So that's wonderful. So now you are going in for a few different lessons depending on the grade levels. And then what do the parents do? So what does this mean for parents, and what is that next step? Because I know how, they're learning so much, and how do parents support this work?
Absolutely. So one of the cool things about this curriculum is that it has resources to connect the school with the home.
Awesome.
Those are the 2 places that children spend the majority of their time. So if they are going to identify a safe adult, it's probably going to be in those 2 spaces.
Right.
So in the elementary schools, we give each student 2 bookmarks that have the safety rules on one side. And on the other side, it has like a little text where the students basically get to be like a Pokemon trainer and choose who their safe adults are. And they get to write that name of that safe adult on the bookmark and actually give the bookmark to that safe adult, so that it is that physical connection of, I feel safe with you. And if something unsafe happens, I'm going to reach out to you and I want you to help me. And the reason students get 2 is because they're spending the most of their time in 2 different places. So we want the school to have a safe adult that those students have identified and can go to. And then they get to bring one of those bookmarks home. And they get to share that with members of their family. They get to share that with their babysitters or their after-school care workers. They get to share that with their coaches or their trainers or their troop leaders, the adults in their faith-based connection or whatever that case may be. There are so many adults in the lives of kids, and when kids realize that they get to choose the adults that they talk to about these things, they feel really good about that. And having the bookmark is a way for them to kind of share that joy with their parents, their families, and the adults outside of the school who haven't seen the lessons. We have the safety rules on there as a reminder of what each of those safety rules represents. And then it gives the students the opportunity to share what they learned in school and say, yeah, safety rule number 2 means if anybody does anything that's sus among us, like my 4th grader says, 5th grader now, we want students to know they can talk to their parents about that. And their parents, because they have seen this bookmark, they've seen the parent information that is on the website, they understand the language of these safety rules because they heard it from the students and they're seeing it when they come to the school to make that connection with the staff here as well. And then the safety rules are something that we actually want adults to see. It's not just for kids.
Yeah.
If we believe that safety is a mindset and it's a shared responsibility, then we want parents to take ownership of that too. So the safety rules equip and empower parents as well to share with that language and to support the kids in their lives by helping them to establish and communicate boundaries and by making those students feel safe because I believe you. You talked to me and I believed you. I heard you and I'm going to do what I can to help. We hope that parents will support their children when they disclose unsafe things or if they choose to disclose abuse, because when students have been through a traumatic or an unsafe event like abuse or maltreatment, they don't get a lot of power or control over that. Yeah. The only source of power they have is, what am I going to tell? Who am I telling this to? And when do I feel safe, powerful, bold enough, or safe enough in this relationship to actually say that? Yeah. It's a very awkward and hurtful, re-traumatizing thing for children to express this unsafe thing that happened. So when adults hear that in the school and when parents hear that at home, we want to come from a place of belief. Thank you for feeling brave enough to use your voice
Yes.
They taught you this in school, and I absolutely believe this here. Let's do what we can to talk to the safe adults in the school and get the help and the support that we need. So we want to encourage parents to actually use this bookmark and use the parent information sheets as a conversation starter.
Absolutely.
Have conversations with your children. Gain a better understanding of what is going on in their physical world and what is going on in their digital world.
Yeah.
What apps are they using? Who are they interacting with on those apps? Are they chatting with them? Are they exchanging information like phone numbers or social media handles? What level of access do these people have to your kids? We want parents to feel safe and empowered to discuss those things with their children. And that can be awkward and uncomfortable for parents and for kids. So if we're starting from a place of having common language with these 5 safety rules and the things that the students learned in school, it really sets all of us kind of a leg ahead of the game.
That's awesome. That's great. And I really encourage parents to look at those resources too. We do actually have them all online. Every parent lesson handout is on our Wellness Hub. So in order to access this podcast, you're already on the Wellness Hub. And so now you're going to look for the Monique Burr Foundation information, and it's going to have all the lessons. So if you're wondering, okay, I've got a kid that's going to be going into 5th grade, what are they going to be learning this year? You can actually preview that information, and you could use that information after your student has that lesson to be able to ask some questions and to know what they're going to be talking about. In terms of time frame, just so our parents kind of know this, is that our UPK 4 students receive their lessons kind of based on the building, but it's in the fall and the winter months, whereas our 9-12 students receive their lessons kind of early spring. So if you want to get ahead of that and kind of look at that, that's where our students are kind of getting that within their curriculum. Our health is more of a semester-based class, so that is going to be a little bit different because it is throughout the year. So for 5-8, you're going to want to ask your student, when do you have health? And then the health teacher actually shares out when they'll do that. So that's the information kind of about for parents about when that's going to happen, and also how to get those resources. As we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or anything you think we've missed?
I just wanted to add some more reinforcements that we have on our brand new website.
Yes.
So the Child Advocacy Center of Greater Rochester, when we launched our new name and our new brand, we also launched an incredibly interactive and new website that has a plethora of up-to-date resources for parents that all that integrates in with all the curriculum that we are providing in the schools. And so we really do welcome you. There's a page for parents, there's a page for youth and teens. So something for everybody is on there for reinforcements and for information. So I just want to encourage everybody to check that out. We're very excited about that.
And we will specifically link the one for parents and caregivers and the ones for teens right under this podcast. So it's all in one spot for parents, so that you guys don't have to go looking for those different things. The links will all be on the Wellness Hub. So anybody that's interested in navigating that, any community member, really, like we're talking about caregivers, but any community member can help keep our kids safe.
Absolutely.
So definitely feel free to check that out as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I am certainly looking forward to continuing this conversation and being able to see how best we can support our community members and our adults and parents and caregivers with how to keep our students safe. So that's great. Thank you for listening to this episode of In the Know. We hope you found the information helpful. Please visit our district website and Wellness Hub at www.cccsd.org/inthe-know for more information, resources, and who to contact for additional support. Now, you're in the know.